Let's face it, despite not wanting to pretend we don't care about what others think about us, we do spend a large portion of our lives trying to present ourselves, or at least having to, in a positive light, aiming to be liked by a lot of people. This desire to be perceived favorably is deeply ingrained in human nature, and it is a manifestation of what is known as the social desirability bias. But before we jump into this bias a little bit further, make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel so we can continue to feed you gold of knowledge on brain and behavior. Once again, the social desirability bias is the tendency for us to respond or behave in a way that is perceived as socially desirable or acceptable, even if that behavior isn't an honest representation of ourselves. The concept was first introduced by psychologist Alan L. Edwards in the 1950s, who identified this bias as a major obstacle in obtaining reliable self-report data. There are several studies showing evidence of this bias. One prominent one was called the Bogus Pipeline experiment by Jonas and Segal in 1971. There are several studies showing the evidence of this bias. One prominent one was called the Bogus Pipeline experiment by Jonas and Segal, which examined the influence of the social desirability bias on attractiveness ratings. During the study, participants were led to believe that their physiological responses were being monitored to assess their true opinions about attractive photographs. The findings revealed that when individuals believed their responses were more private and less susceptible to social evaluation, they provided more honest and unbiased ratings. That study, we can see that this is evident everywhere else, from job interviews to relationships. Speaking of the former example, I'm sure a lot of you know when we tend to feel compelled to show ourselves as highly competent, motivated, socially adept, there is so much of a pressure to outperform another that we may even tend to exaggerate our accomplishments, downplaying negativity. Then there's even more obvious case of social media. We live in a world where everything is about perception, and apps like Instagram are a living, breathing example of social desirability on mass scale. We selectively share moments that highlight only the good, beautiful, and happy moments, rarely showing the downs. So as such, we create an idealized version of ourselves. So why does this exactly happen? Well, for one, humans have an inherent drive to maintain a positive self-image and gain social approval, as we are all heavily reliant on social dynamics to survive. While it isn't to literally physically survive, evolutionarily, our ability to survive was dependent on if we had tribes, and this need to belong urges us to behave accordingly. The fear of being judged, criticized, or rejected by others is a significant reason why we all try to conform to societal standards and pressures, even lying to be socially desirable, even if it contradicts genuine feelings or beliefs. Certain cultures actually prioritize collectivism and harmony more than others, and in these cases, people from those cultures actually exhibit higher levels of social desirability bias, as the emphasis on some sort of group cohesion and maintaining that social harmony can lead to individuals to prioritize the approval of others. While this might seem all too normal, it's important to take note that this bias does exist and is affecting our behaviors and decisions at large. For one of the primary consequences of this is that we end up creating an inaccurate perception of self. If we act based on social desirability all the time, we're never being our true self, and this can result in a lot of internal cognitive dissonance. We also end up making biased decisions. This comes up when you try to behave accordingly to what aligns with somebody else, what is socially desirable. You end up getting a bunch of people living lives, doing things that they don't really care all too much. And that in turn creates a generation of unhappy, unfulfilled people. Another reason why knowing about this bias is important is because when it comes to studies and surveys, it can impair the validity of the results. If participants act on social desirability in environments that create that, it can reduce the accuracy and reliability of data obtained through self-report measures. To ensure that we are avoiding social desirability bias at large and trying to really see the real, we can try to first make responses anonymous when it comes to these types of surveys. Allowing people to feel as if their responses are safe without judgment will allow people to feel a little bit more honest with their answers. Try to join social circles that promote and normalize honesty. Whether your opinions deviate from what's socially acceptable and normal, at least if there's a culture of honesty, there's less added pressure to conform. And also, if you're a type of manager or exist in an authority figure, it's important to try to create a non-judgmental environment. Encourage inclusion of ideas and different opinions, so you have fewer chance of social desirability affecting a lot of important decisions. Lastly, try to be comfortable with who you are as a person. The more comfortable you are with yourself, the less likely you'll conform to the norms. And the fact that people might judge you won't really bother you too much. In the end, social desirability bias is a prevalent aspect of human psychology that impacts everything. The innate desire to be liked and accepted by others is very normal, but know that it isn't just something that is and it should be left as is. We need to be aware of biases like this and see how they affect our decisions and behaviors at large, because with every decision we make, there is a domino effect of where our life will go. By fostering an environment of trust, encouraging open communication, and promoting real honesty, we can try to strive to mitigate these effects of social desirability that are plaguing our very lives. If you like this video, make sure to watch the video on the left where we talk about the actor-observer bias. It'll better your brain and behavior by liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. That way, we can continue to help you mind the golden mind.